Welcome to episode 19 of The Card Show, and it is with great privilege and honour that I'm joined by a good friend and an inspiration in RP, aka Ronnie. Everyone knows him as Mr. Top Loaded Podcast, Mr. UK's best podcast, Mr. Arsenal collector, Mr. Granit Xhaka collector. The guy has many names, but he's a legend in the hobby, so it's only right we get to hear his backstory. And what best place to do it? Let's go.
What an intro that was. It's funny being on the other side of that. It's really good, though. I'm a bit gassed up now.
You're getting all the questions now. You don't have to think of anything. You're getting all the questions. You're getting the grilling, you know.
But no, like I say, thanks so much for inviting me on. I always love talking with anyone and everyone. And obviously, to come on to another podcast in the UK is an absolute privilege. And like we say, we're all here for the UK scene. So it should be a great episode.
Again, when you've got someone like yourself on his big inspiration, of course it's going to be good. So, someone's in the cards, and and talking of which, how did you get started in this hobby? Because maybe a lot of people don't know this. So, what got you started, and what kept you in it?
I think naturally, a lot of people, especially within the UK scene, obviously started with the sticker books, and then it got kind of just before COVID times, and I don't know what it was. It was a random night one night, and I was on Twitter, and I see someone have this Arsenal card, and I'm like, well, I've not seen that before. I always claimed to thought I knew everything what they made Arsenal. And I was like, well, that looks quite interesting. I might have to delve into that. But then, funny enough, I forgot all about it. And then I see D'Angelo Russell, my favourite NBA player, had cards. So I thought I'll buy a couple of them. And then once you're in it, you're in it. You can't get away from it. And I think once you peel back that first layer, you realise how great it is to collect these little bits of cardboard. And it grew from that childhood ambition of collecting all the stickers to then realise that, I can collect my favourite Arsenal players. And then I think then you meet the people as well. And I think that's what really gets you into the hobby is the people, because it's all great and well having these lovely bits of cardboard, but you start talking to people, and that's what really drew me in, that like, there's a community here, and it's such a fantastic experience to be a part of it.
Yeah, 100%. The hobby is great, but the community within the hobby is definitely is what makes it what it is, and it definitely said it keeps you coming back, it keeps you going to these shows, and it's definitely the forefront of that sort of stuff. So obviously being in the UK, we like I said, we were sticker book people. Have you ever completed a sticker book?
Yes, lucky enough. Yeah, I think the first one I ever completed, I've actually still got it. I was looking at it the other day. I tried to find it. It's 2004 Merlin Premier League sticker book. And I was opening it, and just the nostalgia coming back with the foil, Thierry Henry's in it. Then I see the stuck in Cristiano Ronaldo, and I was like, I was just hoping that a dupe, like a spare one, fell out of the book so I could send it off to PSA. But yeah, it was nothing better than finding that lost sticker to complete the book. And then you put it away and you never looked at it again.
Put it away, went under your bed, and then a couple years later it gets put in a loft, and you'd never think about it again. Yeah, it's definitely the good old days of going around school, right? Swap needs, got needs, swap. Yeah, those are the days. I tell you, those are the days. Yeah. So you touched on there as well. You're a D'Angelo Russell fan. Bit of an up down career for Mr. Ice in his veins.
Yeah.
Are you expecting a better year this year? Are you still collecting him heavily, or you moved on a little bit now?
No, still collecting him quite a bit. Lucky enough for me. So for people who don't know D'Angelo Russell, obviously I'm a massive Lakers fan, and he moved on a few times. He went to Timberwolves, Golden State, the Nets. And then, fun enough, last year, he got traded back to the Lakers. It was the perfect full circle. So I was picking bits up here and there in other jerseys, but I was like, it's never as good as the gold and purple. And then it come back, and now they've started releasing all of his cards in Lakers uniforms again. So I'm a bit getting back into it now. And especially because he's not coming off the best of season, the prices have, put it this way, made it a bit better on the wallet as well. So it's a lot better.
It's the best part about it when you have someone like who's PC and it doesn't do so well. After I had Leroy Sané at City, so it was his stuff in the City stuff was just dirt cheap. So it was just amazing to watch, especially seeing him live all the time. I used to like watching him play, so it was nice, getting them cards. Do you think the Lakers will do well this year?
We've got a very, very good roster, but I feel like anyone who knows the NBA, the West is always a very hard conference to get out of, and there's probably 5 or 6 teams in there that could win the overall thing. But it's the LeBron factor of how many more years has he got?
Yeah.
it's normally destined for the stars that a player like him would go out with another ring. But I feel like it's keeping players healthy. I think if Anthony Davis stays fit for a season, which is a struggle for him and a very big struggle at that, but when you've got LeBron and Anthony Davis on court, it's a very hard duo to displace.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing now. These dynamic duos are just getting. So they got Giannis and Dame. It's just getting tough out there. I mean, even you look at Booker and KD. You think, Jesus, Joker and Jamal Murray, who just won it as well. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm glad it's coming back. Obviously, as we're recording this, we're a week away from it coming back. So I'm looking forward to it. Some late nights, very early mornings. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So obviously collecting basketball. Is there any other basketball you collect? Just D'Angelo Russell.
Mainly D'Angelo Russell. A few Lakers cards here and there. Like I pick up a few bits of Kobe, but he's very expensive. So the anthology range will come out for him as a nice one. Very nice imagery and not too expensive. So I pick up a bit of it. And where I can, I'll pick up a rookie here and there. Do plan on picking up a bit more maybe this year of Lakers stuff. Especially, there's a famous LeBron Prism card from him at Lakers where he recreates one of Kobe's dunks. I think that's on the list for this year to get in a nice PSA slab or a variation or something like that. That would be a lovely one to pick up this year.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it's a nice it's a landscape as well. That card, isn't it? As well, yeah, it's a nice reverse dunk. Yeah, it's a nice picture. It's a nice artistry. So obviously, people know you as the Granit Xhaka collector, the Arsenal collector. The Arsenal women's collector as well. And now they've heard a little bit about the D'Angelo Russell Lakers stuff. Is there anything else that people don't know? Like, are you into Marvel? Is there anything that you couple of cards you pick up every now and then, or you like looking at but don't own, like Pokemon or One Piece, etc.?
I think the one that I want to get into and delve into a bit more is Stranger Things. They've got obviously a few sets. They've just had the new release, which has got autos in it, which is really cool. I picked up one of the last blasters that Zero Cool brought out, which was a very good release. But then I realised this one has chances of dual autos and autos. So I'm like, be quite cool. I quite like them ones of the TV programs and films where it's a bit different than the traditional sports. And you can just, like I've seen some of the Simpsons ones from back in the day, which look fantastic. So it's one of them, just don't go on eBay at like 2, 3 a.m. because you're going to delve into a pit and just end up having a new PC. So I feel like maybe Stranger Things I'd like to pick up a bit more of. I've got 2 or 3 here and there, but there's some really nice new ones that could be tempting, especially at 2 a.m., which is no doubt going to happen soon.
Definitely. Is there any TV show that's not got cards out that you would love to have cards of?
That's a great question. I don't know if they actually have it or not, but Family Guy. I know they've got Simpsons.
Ooh. I have seen. I think I've seen. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's one of one. Paul Hubbard. I'm sure he's got like a Lewis Griffin. Is it Lewis Griffin or a Meg? He's definitely got like a Meg Auto or something like that, or a Lewis Griffin Auto. I swear I've seen. Yeah, I've not seen many of the cards, but I think I've seen one or two.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's probably quite a. If I think about it, it'd probably be one that comes to mind. But it's just like seeing. It's even like that, but Vince like sports as well. Like I'd love a golf set as a big golf fan. I'd love it because obviously we've had it in the past with Upper Deck and a bit like that, but I think a Topps Chrome Golf or something like that could be very dangerous. That one could be.
I think the difficult part with golf is, I mean, obviously now they've obviously merged with Live and PGA, but it's the rookies. The rookies, like where do you start with the rookies in that one? Do you know what I mean? Like Jesus. Yeah, it's kind of like Colin Morikawa's rookie when he's been in the game for 10 years. It's like, But yeah, it would be good if we can get. I think it's the same with tennis. I think we need to start like did Chrome and just start somewhere, then just bring it out every year, just so we have, same way like with F1 2020. You had the Netflix documentaries. You saw the sort of impact it had. You should have capitalized and have consistent products out. But yeah, golf was definitely missing one. What was that one called? The golf documentary. I think it tried to survive then.
I don't know, Full Swing or something, was it?
Full Swing. Yeah, Full Swing. And then you had the tennis one. I always forget the names. Too many names to remember. Breakpoint, yeah. This guy's got a memory. So look at this guy. And this is why he's a host of the #1 podcast in the UK. I tell you, this is why. As soon as we're talking about that, what led you on the path to starting what obviously must have seemed at the time just that I want to start a podcast, which now grown into the UK's biggest and best and award-winning podcast as well. So hurrah on that! He'll give you your roses.
Yeah, thanks for. I still can't believe the award, but it was a funny one because I was umming and ahhing about it for a good 2, 3, 4 months, and I was like, we were seeing the growth of the UK hobby, and we was hoping that we was talking in private chats, like there must be something that helps grow. And I was thinking, what could I do to help even like 1%? I thought if we had like a platform for people to come together, listen, spread news, but then also get people on, obviously like yourself who's been on it, and other vendors, sellers, companies, business, whatever it is, that they can promote themselves around the UK and spread the word. And it also shows it ended up being quite a popular platform for having new shows on. But it was one of them. I thought there's something, obviously, there was plenty of in the US, very good ones as well. That it was a great area. It's not much really in the UK for content creation. Obviously, we had a few YouTubers, but I was thinking podcast wise, there was a couple here and there. But I felt I would like one that rather than go for just talking like your traditional podcast, actually set up to benefit the UK. And lucky enough, it's actually gone how I planned it. Because at some points I could have gone in another route, but it was always with the goal of being there for the UK scene. And I feel like now it's got to a point where we've got the few, like a couple of hundred consistent viewers, and they always seem to be, I think they're the very engaged ones in terms of they'd want to go to the shows, they buy from different vendors, and it's a really nice core community that we're all looking out for each other. And the amount of times I get from a random person listens to it and they go, "Oh, by the way, this Granit Xhaka card has just come up," and I'm like, this is the only downside for it. I end up spending more money because everyone's like, "Oh, I've got a Xhaka for you." I'm like, "Ah, great, thank you."
Yeah, so the downside is spending more money, but it just shows how great the community is. Like, since you know you're interested in something, they will look out for you tenfold. You know, it's one of the best parts of the community. As soon as you know that, oh yeah, I know this guy's selling that, this, you know, this. It's like, oh, okay, thanks for that, thank you. But yeah, again, the growth has been. You said it's gone to plan. I mean, the vision was hard to see. The growth is crazy, by the way, because I thought you would have said, oh, it's, you know, you got bigger than I thought it was gonna get. But yeah, so you've had that sort of vision to see where it is. Because how many episodes was it on your own?
It was
30?
about, yeah, it was about 25 to 30 area. And then that's where I kind of see, I thought it's getting to a point now where I'd gone through, lucky enough for me, I had quite a lot of the people within the UK on it. So I was like, it's got to be, I'd like to have someone to bounce off because it's really nice to have another person giving an opinion and just being
Yeah.
there. So that's when I think it was about episode, yeah, about 28, 30 area where I put out, I'm looking for a co host, thinking that no one would be interested. I honestly thought it would just be me for every episode. But lucky enough, there was quite a few people that put their name forward for it. So I had discussions with all of them because the one thing I made sure I was like, what is your view of on the hobby, and are you in it to benefit yourself or is it to make the UK scene better? And a few people were not too keen, like they're a bit more like, oh, I'll use it for like personal promotion. I was like, it's not really that platform. Whereas
Yeah.
we just want to grow the UK scene. And lucky enough for me, Harry, obviously HA Cards UK, lucky enough an Arsenal collector, I knew him knew him from Instagram. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a whirlwind ever since. Obviously, another 50 episodes gone, but it was one of them that it was time to. You get to a point where you're like, need to see. You can go down two channels, and it was time. I thought, get someone else on, then you can. You don't always have to get that guest on. You can have the episodes where you just discuss issues.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what's probably helped you guys become the sort of level you've got because the chemistry you two have, the topics you talk about, the people will just tune in because they want to hear your guys' opinions and then again talk about it and probably probably slide into your DMs and comment about it. Say, oh, but I actually think this and that. It's just yeah, it's been great listening to it over the year and a half now, just over.
What? Yeah, about a year and 8 months, I think now. It was
Yeah.
February 2022 it was launched.
Wow, that's crazy. That's give you roses, man. That's just hard work, dedication, week in, week out. That's crazy. So you deserve everything you've got. Especially with the award. And how did the award make you feel? Did you feel vindicated and justified for all the hard work you put in? And
Still shocked, to be honest. I still look at. I have it on my display case with some of my cards, and even to this day, I'm still shocked. Obviously, there was everyone nominated. It had fantastic podcasts, and it's a shame I couldn't get up. I was planning to get up to Scotland, but my calendar didn't sync up, so I couldn't make it. And then got a few messages through, and it's like, "Oh, you've won it." I was like, "Yeah, all right." I still didn't believe it. I think the first time I truly believed it is when I held it in my hands. I was like, "Oh, this is actually real." But yeah, it was like one of them that I feel like with any journey, there's points where you feel like, oh, should I stop it? Should I keep it going? And especially when you do get an award or something like that, you really know that there's people out there. and everyone who voted it, I said, I wish I could thank them all personally, but it was a matter thing of people out there love this show. They want to follow it. So then that gave me that next drive to try and take it to the next level. And obviously we've got plans for the moment, but it's still unbelievable to be recognized, obviously, for all the work and time put in, but even just by the community that we're trying to help.
Yeah, again, it's fully deserved, and I'm glad you sort of got your roses, and the people, showed their appreciation. Because again, a lot of times people just don't vote just for, I'll do that later and just forget, and it was good that people came out and actually took the time out to vote for you guys and to pick up the awards. And if anyone does want to get thanked in person by Ronnie for voting, make sure you catch him at London Card Show, because he said he wants to thank you all in person. So just catch him, say, come on, thank me now, thank me with some nice cards.
Actually, please, maybe not the buy the card bit, because I might not have that much at the end of it, but definitely always come and have a chat. I'm always available for a chat.
You are indeed. What's your calendar out for the next few shows? Where you're going to be? Where people catch you live and direct?
So that's up in the air at the moment. I really wish there was a few that I can't make, so I'm trying to wait for the schedule. Obviously, London, unless anything changes, I'm hoping to be there the Sunday. But with my schedule at the moment, I'm hoping to potentially try and get to a bit more, maybe travel up north or even to Scotland. I know obviously there's a few more international shows that have been announced as well, which would be quite nice to make a bit more of a weekend of it. Maybe a Germany, or I see a recent announcement about a Dublin show, which will be killing two birds with one stone kind of. I fancy a little trip to the Guinness factory. So if I can go to Guinness factory and onto cards, or cards onto Guinness, fantastic.
Be dangerous.
Probably cards onto Guinness is probably the better way round of doing it.
Yeah, it might be the least expensive way of doing it. I think if you rent the Guinness down to cards, it could be a very expensive night. I know you're obviously, like I said, your calendar is very busy. It's because you go to the men's game and the women's game for Arsenal. I mean, something else I want to sort of give you your props for. As I always say, you're at the forefront of not only the sort of the UK content scene with the podcast, the women's sport. You're always taking pictures of the grounds, at the games. You're always advocating for the women's football, but also the sports cards. What got you into sort of going to the women's game and then also collecting the cards as well?
For me, it's funny because I get the question. And there was always 10 years ago, it would be a different response that people would give me, because obviously now with how well it's going. But ever since I was young, I started going to Arsenal women's game when they was at the time played at Highbury and then on to the Emirates, and now of late bit more Boreham Wood in the Emirates. But I've always been a massive advocate for it because it was always getting better, but never had the support. So now, obviously, for the cards that have come out, it's going in unison of obviously winning the Euros last year, which was fantastic for the country, and then obviously sadly missing out in the World Cup final, which was a shame. But just being able to now have cards of the players, and it's going in the right direction. We've got a Women's Super League sticker set coming out in December, which is fantastic new, and it's just getting cards and stickers into the hands of younger collectors, obviously not just older collectors, but younger ones, and they might go and open a pack and hit a Leah Williamson or a Katie Zellum or someone like that, Sam Kerr, and then they might actually at the weekend go, you know what, rather than watching one of the men's games, there's a women's game on at the same time, and that might just grow it a bit more. We're seeing now 40,000 crowds at women's games. If someone would have told me that 6-7 years ago, I would have thought they'd be crazy, because I remember going to some games where the attendance was 700. So it's now to see Panini and Topps getting really invested into the women's side of the game is fantastic to see. And I think it could be inspirational for the younger collectors of they're going to grow up now with women's football rather than having to go out their way and try and find women's football, even try and go to a game, which is just hopefully for us, we can see in 10 years' time where it's not a case of people go, oh, men's and women's football. It's, oh, I'm going to go and watch the football this weekend. When we get to that, obviously it's still a long way to go, but we are going in such a good direction that it's such a positive and such a positive that doesn't really get talked about enough of just how well it's growing within the country and also changing people's opinions, which is the hardest thing.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I mean, obviously being a City fan and living in Manchester, we obviously the women's play like literally next door, on the same campus. I always thought it'd be so good and so cool if we could have like a midday kickoff for the women. So everyone's down there, because obviously live music at the Etihad campus. You can watch the women's game with 50,000 people just because it's a free game, and then as soon as that's finished, you go literally just turn into turnstiles and watch the men's game. I was like, it would be a way of drumming up more sort of eyes on the sport. I mean, I know obviously not a lot of women's team play either at the main, the men's ground, or at the even close to that vicinity. But I think City have the capacity to do that, and it'd help a lot. I mean, they do a lot, especially in the community and with the women's game. But yeah, I think that would help a lot more as well. Just is it, it's a free game for people to watch. You're there most, especially in summertime. You're there early and on a few drinks. Why not go watch the women's play, or even like the EDS teams? Just so you can see the future talent and stuff like that. And hopefully with things, if Fanatics in the future, you'll be able to go to these games and buy cards as well. That'd be like the ultimate goal, I think, to be at sort of a football match from, I said, 11:30 till 6 p.m. and watch, maybe it's the EDS that weekend or it's the women's team, buy some cards, go across to watch the men's play and get some food and go home and just make a full sort of day of it. It'll be, obviously the prices come down on men's tickets as well. That's another thing that's killing the men's game. Like the price of tickets on men's is ridiculous, especially if you've got a family of like 3 kids or whatever, 2 or 3 kids, But there's for the hobby wise, if they can start getting them, obviously City have the created sets in there. If you start getting them at grounds, it's just going to be a no-brainer for great positivity for the future.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think especially with that one, obviously going to, like, I was at the Emirates the last weekend to watch the Arsenal women's game, and there was attendance of 35,000, and I was looking like,
Jeez.
it's so fantastic to see. Obviously, but then our next game is at Boreham Wood, so for people who don't know, that's attendance of 3,000. So it's a big drop off, but it's getting there that they can host these games. Obviously, Man City will hold a few games a season actually at the Etihad, Man U, Old Trafford, Liverpool at Anfield. It's just good to see these players now actually being able to grace the turf for these pitches. And obviously, the FA Cup now finishes up at Wembley, like the men as well. That they're cutting down the boundary. And I've no doubt, I think certainly soon for Arsenal, that I don't think it, whereas before it used to be Emirates is the Arsenal men's stadium, it'll be the Arsenal stadium, and the women's team, I think, will move there full time within the near future, which will be another blockage in the road, I think, destroyed. And I think it's not even Arsenal will be the first. Reading do it all the time, near enough at their ground. And other teams, Bristol City play always at Ashton Gate. So it's once one of the bigger teams does it, it'll follow suit. And then who knows, maybe in 5 to 10 years' time, it'll be everything will be at the main grounds. And then hopefully, like we say, the big concerns with injuries, which have been recently, that might start to go down because all the money that they'll then make for having 40,000 in the crowd comparison to 4 can go on all the R&D and everything like that, which would be fantastic. And then invest it back into grassroots. And it's a lovely circle. And then, as I say, I think one time it'd be a case of you won't hear, men's football and women's football. It'd just be called football. And then it'll go more positively because then it releases that stigma attached to women's football, which is outdated, but it's rightly so that you're getting rid of it.
Yeah, I always think that like these like DAZN or something, when these other companies, I know TNT, whatever, when them companies should always try and get the rights, exclusive rights to the games, just to, add a bit more money to the league, and again adds, because obviously the injuries have been, it almost ruined the World Cup in not letting Sam Kerr play because of her injury right before the World Cup, and it's one you really want to see there, for a home country as well, and it was like, yeah, they just need a bit more investment in money. So I always wondered if one of them companies would take the plunge and say, right, let's put women's football on TV and let's have the exclusive rights and put money in the league and promote it big style. I know that DAZN are going for, I think it's Syria. I read the other day. Yeah. We want the rights to that one. So that's a struggling league. I think I'd rather watch the women's league than Serie A, to be honest with you. So DAZN, if you're listening, that's where you should go. The women's league.
And I've been advocate for that one as well.
Yeah, there we go. Is there any set that's not out for women's football, soccer, that you would like to see?
I think now we're moving that Panini. Obviously, as we're talking this, it's actually release week of women's Donruss for the World Cup. So we finally got that one after enough time in the final. But I think with Panini now moving into it, I think I would love a Panini Prism WSL. I think that would be like a massive step in the right direction. Obviously, now they have it for the the Women's National Basketball Association. So the WSL would be fantastic because whereas at the moment for the Arsenal guys, we're waiting for Topps Chrome, which we're not even in this year, where that would be maybe like 10, 11 players in the checklist, if not more, and all the inserts. It's such an iconic set. It'd be a lovely one. I think that's the all-time goal. Would be able to open a women's Prism hobby box and try and hit some of the Arsenal players, even though it would be a very expensive release the first time.
I'm about to say your bank balance would be suffering from all the breaks and all the boxes you're buying.
Yeah, if not already.
Yeah. Yeah, so would you say that Prism is also your like favorite set to collect in the men's game as well? Or
Yeah, I've done quite a lot of rainbows of Prism. It's always been right up there for me. If it's either that or Impeccable. Obviously, Impeccable's
okay.
that next up, more of a elite higher end. Obviously, I adore a women's Super League set of that, but with a bit of time off, I could maybe see like a Women's World Cup down the line, probably more of an
Yeah.
option. Maybe if it was a Women's World Cup, maybe in a year or two, that might have been an option. But obviously now it's gone. It's probably you're looking at another 4 years down to the next one. So who knows that. Hopefully, we do get them bigger sets, or even a Chronicles would be lovely because it's mainly based anyway. That have then you can Prism goes in there, Select goes in there, all of these other Spectras and Illusions and all that. You'd get them women's designs, and it'd be lovely because it would just be a bit different collect rather than it's still lovely. And I adore Sapphire, Chrome, and obviously New Donruss, but it's very uniform and standard. It'd be nice to have completely different cards to collect.
Yeah. Where is the next Women's World Cup? What country?
Great question. You caught me off guard on that one. Actually, not always.
I was going to say, really.
Yeah, I was going to say the Netherlands. I don't know why.
Okay.
I'm going to have to research that now, ain't I?
I should have done some research first. Go and said, but I was just thinking, obviously, with the men's being obviously the Americas, if the women's, obviously, how big the women's game is over there, there would have been a potential chance if they to have a Women's World Cup sort of Impeccables or even a National Treasure or something. It would be nice to, like I said, to have that sort of higher end product for women's would be nice.
Actually, the reason why we don't know where it is because it hasn't been decided yet. So it's next year in 2024 they will allocate who's going to host it. So but it's not actually. I thought for some reason I didn't know. It's because it's between four different bids: South Africa, Mexico, US, Brazil, and then Belgium, Germany, and Netherlands. So I knew Netherlands was in there somewhere, but until next year we don't know. So even that's quite funny. Is the men's ones are done a couple in advance. The women's ones, it's 4 years to the next one, and they don't even know who's going to be hosting it.
I mean, that could be interesting if USA and Mexico get it with obviously the men's one as well. I mean, that would be a massive push for the game on both sides, men's and women's and products. So that could be interesting.
Very interesting and would do wonders for the prices as well. That's what I'm hoping anyway. But then more eyes means probably less cars for me to buy. So we'll meet in the middle somewhere. We'll go somewhere not too close to the States, but they don't mind them buying some.
We obviously people may know or may not know that you also collect tickets as well. With let's just say hypothetical that the Women's World Cup is in America. Do you see yourself going over there, catching a game, and maybe going to a car show over there as well, and having sort of the memories of going there, get a World Cup ticket, and this and the other?
Oh, it would be it would be a dream to do it. If it wasn't Australia and New Zealand this summer, I would have debated it. It was a very big up and evil, but a US would be a lovely one to go to. I think even if it was in Germany, Netherlands as well, Belgium, that would be an easy one. But to go to, I think a lot of people, when they say, I would love to go women's, funny enough for me, I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I actually would rather go Women's World Cup at the moment than the men's one, just because the amount of follow it and been an advocate of it, that's like the growl. Obviously, we've got Women's Euros coming up in 2 years, but the World Cup is the World Cup. And it would be great to go and watch an England women's game in America or wherever it would be and travel to it. And knowing that the crowds would be massive as well would be fantastic to witness and be a part of.
Definitely. Like I said, it's only growing, and to be there at the sort of the bubble when it's about to just get just bigger. It's just you're in there for the whole atmosphere. It's just there's nothing better than that sort of stuff. Is there any event in the past, even if we weren't alive for it, that you wish you'd seen? So if it had been Muhammad Ali's first title fight, it's Cassius Clay or Mike Tyson, or would it have been like the first women's football game ever in like 1920, I think it was, and stuff like that.
I think the first Women's World Cup match would have been really cool to be at because you would have seen the real growth of it. And obviously, it's not that old in comparison to like the men's one. Obviously, started in the 1930s. That it would be great to see, especially some of the legendary US women's teams of the 90s and early thousands would have been great to see in person. It probably would have been that, or even the first time the women's ever played at Wembley. That would have been a great one as well, because that's a true, and that weren't too long ago either. So that is a true history moment. That would be a really cool one to just say that you was there kind of moment like the other ones. Like I was there. That would have been a really cool one to
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, there's so many moments in it. You think, oh, imagine being there for that. Imagine being there for was it Muhammad Ali at the Olympics? It's just like
Yeah.
craziness, and the Rome Olympics. I think Fab has the tickets to that. It's even the Usain Bolt stuff. Like I watched it on TV, and I was like, imagine the atmosphere there, seeing a guy run, break records. It's just unbelievable, unbelievable. Is there any tickets that you've got off grade at the moment? I know obviously you're mainly Arsenal, but is there anything a bit different?
I've got a few literally sitting next to me at the moment,
Okay.
all ready to go off, and I'm going to do a nice little batch. What I've been doing is putting a couple aside every month and just go and send them all off in one go rather than trickles. I've got a few 2006 Champions League final tickets that I'm going to send off. Sadly, we lost the game, but it was just a big moment to be at. But then also it was Ronaldinho, Xavi, Iniesta's first ever Champions League title, so it's a really nice memento. But then also I've got a few of my Arsenal ones I want collected when we won the league at White Hart Lane, when we won the league at Old Trafford, and then also a few more. Obviously, people know me for collecting Granit Xhaka. I've got quite a few of his tickets of his debuts, first goals, and last game for Arsenal as well. So I'm going to a couple of them I'd like to get sent off as well. But it's just going through. Lucky enough, because I go to quite enough games, I've just got to work out which ones I want to send and not send at the moment, because it's a bit of a wait for it to come back as well. So you've got to get it right the first time.
Yeah, you definitely do. With the that Arsenal, I don't want to bring up bad memories here. The Champions League final you lost. Are you saying with Ronaldinho, Xavi, Iniesta's first Champions League win? What were you going to get on the actual slab ticket from PSA? Are you going to put on there?
I'm lucky enough. I've got 3 tickets, so I might just have one blank, just like the score line, and then I might have one run because I'm a massive Ronaldinho fan. One that said Ronaldinho's first Champions League, and then I might have one Xavi/Iniesta's first Champions League win as well, which would be it's a nice memento to keep, and having the different labels could be quite nice as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was thinking. When you said you had one, I was like, oh, what do you get with one? It's like, what do you get? And then you got 3. It's like, oh, you're lucky now. You have one saying Iniesta, one saying Xavi. You got it made. Got it made there. Is there any F1 tickets to go in or not?
Not at the moment. I'm trying to track. I'm going to track down a few. I want to track down a few of Kimi Räikkönen's championship win for Ferrari, and then his last win, which was Lotus at the Australian Grand Prix. But they're not as easy to come. But I'm trying to wait for them in good condition. But I might just settle for the condition I can find at the moment, because they do not come up much.
Yeah, I bet you would. Obviously, on the subject of F1 as well, you've obviously seen the news of Alpine. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Rory McIlroy, Trent, which has surprised me, Trent Alexander-Arnold, among a few others, invested in Alpine. I think, which is great for that hobby as well, because it's people who are fans of them people sort of looking to F1 a little more. I always think it's easier if you're into other sports to get into F1 than it is if you're in F1 to get into other sports. So I think the crossover will be great for sports people into F1, because it's just so easy to watch F1. Drive to Survive was massive. Whereas if you're sort of a bit of a gearhead of an F1 guy, you're probably not going to then watch American football just because Mahomes and Kelce now are sponsoring your cars. So I think that'll do well. You any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it was a great idea. I like it when other sportsmen get invested in other sports, because then when they go to events, especially LeBron, whenever he turns up at any other sporting event, everyone knows about it. And no doubt, I think the perfect example at the moment is a certain singer who's meant to be dating a certain Chiefs player at the moment. That I've heard more about her and the Chiefs in the last 6 weeks than any of my mates have ever heard about Patrick Mahomes and how good he is. So I'm like, it only brings more spotlight and more hype towards the sports. It's great. But having these players walk the pit walk and all that, it'd be really cool. And obviously some crossover stuff would be great. Like getting some of the F1 drivers going out to NBA arenas and doing stuff with that, or coming over to Anfield with Trent and doing stuff like that would be quite cool to see as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to the Martin Brundle grid walk talk, because you know what he's like. I mean, last time I thought it was Patrick Mahomes, it was Paolo Banchero, Yeah, so God knows he'll get Travis Kelce mixed up. Hope he doesn't walk down with Taylor Swift. You might think it's someone else. Jesus. Legend he is. I mean, I think the good thing about Alpine as well, I mean, it's obviously the French team, but probably got one of the coolest drivers as well with Pierre Gasly. He's so in tune with sort of the hip hoppy culture as well. So a bit of a smart play going Alpine. Would have referred it to him Williams. Obviously getting involved in a British team would have been nice. Well, British roots. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting time in F1. You know, Perez rumored to go.
Mm.
You know, it's going to be interesting. Danny Rick's back this weekend, but Lawson's done well. But yes, I think it's going to be interesting next year. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts? Think anyone's going to go? Think Perez will go?
I
Who takes his spot?
the rumours are tiptoeing about at the moment. I would personally say one of the drivers who's not got as much credit. I love Alex Albon personally, and I could see him as a reserve, not even as not a reserve backup driver at a Red Bull. I think he could do fantastic in a good car. I would love
Yeah,
to.
he was there before, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was
and
there before.
he knows everything about Red Bull. He knows what it means to be a Red Bull driver, and he's never going to be trying to challenge Max at all. He'll put himself before put the team before him, and I'd love to see him get that crack at the whip one more time in a very good car, like Pierre Gasly as well. Fantastic driver, just didn't work out at the time at Red Bull, and obviously moved on. But there's so many of these drivers, especially Albon, even he's British, obviously raced under Thailand, but such a nice guy. He looks like around the grid that hope he gets his chance. And obviously, then he missed a season. Then people's like, oh, he's never going to do it again. Is he going to go whatever racing? It'd be nice to see that full circle and then him go back to Red Bull, do well, and hopefully win a race would be fantastic to see.
Definitely. Your thoughts on expanding the grid as well? Obviously, Andretti put a bid on this to be the 11th team. Obviously, the whole Audi sort of takeover is up in the air a little bit. Are you happy seeing another team? Do you want to see more teams on the grid?
If competition can't hurt, that's what I was saying. Obviously, we've had 22, 24 car grids rumored in the past and actually tried in certain races. And most of the time, you don't finish with 20 drivers anyway. So obviously, it might, especially some of the races, it could be a bit more carnage having two more people to get in, especially Monaco or Monza, especially. But I think more the merrier, especially if we do see Audi come into obviously such a powerhouse of the normal motor racing scene that it could be someone to challenge that top team, whoever it will be at the time. Because as we know at the moment, Red Bull are miles beyond anyone else. Obviously, Mercedes before that was miles beyond. So bringing that Audi drive in, it could be a fun watch. And like we say, I think they're seeing now how much money's in F1 and how popular it's becoming that they're like, oh, we could get a bit of this. And if Audi come in or Porsche, for example, they're not going to just settle for fifth, sixth in the constructors. They're going to win it. So it could be very intriguing to see.
Definitely. What would your so if you let's say if you were Audi, you come in, who would your two drivers be? Who, if you could have any driver on the grid and maybe even an F2 or semi-retired, could be like a backup. Even like I'll let you bring like Vettel back. I'll give you like a year out. Who would your drivers be? Who would you have? You get to choose three. You get two drivers to back up.
Mm-hmm. I think I love Seb. I think I'd have to have him as just backup, just for the laughs and jokes he would bring in the pit wall. I think it would be hilarious. And
his knowledge as well.
Yeah,
his knowledge. Jesus.
No doubt it could create an absolute weapon of a vehicle. I think I'd have to go Alex Albon as my second driver, and then for my first driver, and I would tell him that I'm bringing a great strategic analyst in. And I'll bring Charles Leclerc in because I feel so sorry for him with Ferrari and telling him to pit when he shouldn't pit. Or when they do pit him, they don't put the right tyres on or just get it all wrong. I'll be like, look, we're going to actually bring in the best here, mate. And we're not going to ruin your chances of ever winning a race. We're going to actually try and prosper you. So I just feel so sorry for him at the moment at Ferrari that we've seen it how many times where he's just gone at the race. You just see him and I'll take his helmet off and he's just like, what am I meant to do here? So I think that would be the three, it could work quite well. But then again, with Charles Leclerc, I'll be like, just who you need, we'll bring in. Who you don't like, we'll leave them at home. Don't worry about it.
We'll leave them at home. We'll leave them at home. We'll leave them at home. They're gone. Off the books. If you could sign one player for Arsenal men's team, who would it be? And one person for Arsenal women's team, who would it be?
I think most people are going to go with the boring option. It's got to be Jude Bellingham for the men's team. I think he's going to have 10 to 15 years in the top level of football. And I just say, even now, I think he's put my eyes. If I'm buying any central midfielder in world football, it's Bellingham at any age. And he's got 7-8 years on some of the best other ones. So Real Madrid signing him was just unbelievable signing for them. And women's one, how our team's lacking at the moment, I have to say Mary Earps, who obviously England goalkeeper, plays for Man
Yeah,
United.
yeah.
Absolute world class, best keeper in the women's game. And I think we was linked to her. We put a bid in for her, fun enough, this summer. They rejected it because she's got a year left, but I think she would benefit our team so much. And obviously having that English core as well, I think could take us to that next level, which we might be just lacking at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, her shirt sold out in like record time, right? It was
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, it was madness for that. So how? So I'll go back to this Arsenal team. So you've signed Bellingham. Describe the team to me. So start from the back. Who's your goalkeeper? Who's your defense? How you playing? I need to know now. I'm
Going to
intrigued.
start controversial already. I'm going to go straight back for Ramsdale because I just love the man.
Okay.
Obviously, right back Ben White, left back Zinchenko, two centre backs Saliba and Gabriel, just unbelievable partnership. Then I'm going to go for a midfield three of Rice, Bellingham, and Odegaard, which would be a bit crazy.
Tasty.
And then out on the right, obviously Bukayo, left Gabby Martinelli, and then it's a bit of an unpopular opinion for me, but I'm going Kai Havertz up front. I just really like him as a player, and he's
Okay.
a big team player as well. That sacrifice himself, he won't score or assist, but if he makes that right pass or the right bit of movement, and then having that bit of height as well, because I did not realise the guy was so tall until he signed for us.
Yeah, Kai Havertz has obviously haunted me in Portugal, so I don't like hearing his name. That's what I'm gonna say there. Do not like hearing his name. Hate it. Hate it. Yeah. Let's go back onto the hobby. So where do you think the hobby will be in 5 years' time?
I feel like it's going to be much more accessible, especially within the UK side of it. That, for example, blasters. I know we have the odd ones come out in game. I think they'd be, hopefully by then, be readily available in maybe Tesco, Sainsbury's, or other big supermarkets like how they have it in America with Walmart and Target and stuff like that. I think that'd be a
Yeah.
massive one of getting people in, whether it's single packs, the hanger packs, fat packs, blasters, or even who knows, maybe down the line there'll be select. These ones might do like might even have hobby boxes, which would be great. But I think just in general, I think we're going to see a lot more the growth slowly of the amount of people within it. We've seen it obviously within the last, if you look 5 years, the growth is off the charts. But just maybe whereas now like there's a solid core of people, getting more people into that core. I could see a lot more, maybe seeing a lot more younger collectors like they see in the States, hopefully getting involved and being a bit more prominent with the UK scene, because at the end of the day, like the average age of the hobby's pretty going up every year, whereas everyone gets older. Where it'd be nice to see some of the younger collectors and who are trying to obviously there's such this grey area in the UK of making money off cards. It's like frowned upon for some reason. But why not have these kids that go into shows and they walk in with a, I don't know, an Erling Haaland card and they leave with a Messi or it'd be fantastic to see. And just I think with our experience of the hobby, I think within 5 years you're going to see it a lot more of a lot of things what don't get talked about. Actually realizing no, you can talk about whether it's card prices or how much you want to make off a card. It's just that moment people just don't want to see it as a business for some people, even though it is a massive turnaround, like in money and time for people.
Yes, it's yeah. People, like I said, people do neglect that side of it. It's such a big turnover of cash. It's crazy. You know, there should be more. I was saying this on the last episode about Jeff Wilson's store. It's like I'm so envious of not having something similar. I mean, obviously we have Sports Trading Cards UK, we have Kaboom, and that's it for the UK. And it's just like you see it shows how quick like London sells out of thousands of tickets, and it's like the vendors, the demand's there for this. I mean, I know I see some more sort of TCG based shops around, dotted around. You know, like Gav in Wales. I think Chloe and Pokadina opening the store as well. But yeah, it's the sports side of it. Hopefully we get more, like I said, more accessible. I would love like a imagine trying to explain that to Americans. Oh yeah, we have these. This is a Sainsbury's exclusive parallel. This to be like, huh?
Nice orange one. But then I
Yeah.
said this to my mate the other day. I went, do I want it that every time I'm going for a meal deal, I'm walking out of a blaster? Yes, I do.
Yeah, it'd be a dream. Of course, it'd be a dream. You go Tesco, you get blue and white refractors. Come on now.
Bring it on. And then you have to go Asda for the lime green one as well. Lovely. I go all of them and get the meal deal where all of them every day. Lovely, lovely.
Yeah. I want to hear your Mount Rushmore. So your top 5 football players, basketball players, and also NFL players. We didn't touch NFL, but we do know you're a big NFL fan. So yeah, give me. In fact, and your F1 drivers. So your top 5 of them. Start
So,
with football.
so for football, Messi and Ronaldo have to be on it. It's no question at all with them two. And then my last,
CR7 Ronaldo.
yeah, even though Nazario, fantastic. The third one for me on it is Ronaldinho. Just growing up as a kid, watching him play,
Yeah,
you wanted to watch the game because he was playing. And then the last one is my favorite player of all time, which most people are going to say Xhaka. He's currently my favorite player, but my all-time, just in terms of ability-wise, Dennis Bergkamp for me. Was just growing up watching him in person. I still haven't seen someone who can do stuff what he done with the ball. So that would be my four, I think, for that. Just two of the greatest players of all time. Ronaldinho, the best player to watch. The skills he used to do.
yeah.
I was watching a compilation the other day, and I was like, what is going on here? Like, still to this day. And then obviously Bergkamp for me, obviously Arsenal. It had to be an Arsenal representative on that one for that time.
You definitely did. We got one more. I'll give you five. You get five.
Oh,
So one more.
I'm gonna say my last one. I'm gonna have to go biased, I think, with this one. I think it's gonna be partner in crime for Dennis Bergkamp, Mr. Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, the greatest Premier League player of all time and one of the greatest strikers of all time. Just had absolute exceptional talent, and I think truly credited for how good he is. That even now to this day, you hear the centre halves who he played against go, "Yeah, we couldn't do anything about him. You just had to watch him run past you."
Yeah, he was different level. Seeing him tear up City, must be him days too many times, and then just everywhere else in the league as well. He was exceptional. So was Bergkamp, to be fair.
Yeah,
it's a nice top five. So your basketball top five?
Got to start with, I think, the three goats in my opinion. So obviously Michael Jordan. Obviously didn't get to watch him live, sadly, but watching The Last Dance and all the highlights, just an absolute competitor, an absolute just unbelievable player. And then lucky enough, two more people that I've seen in purple and gold. Obviously, the late great Kobe Bryant has to be on there. The reason why I'm a Lakers fan. And then obviously now our main player, obviously LeBron. I don't think anything needs to be mentioned when you mention LeBron. Then last two for me, one Stephen Curry, just greatest shooter I've ever seen. It's just an absolute monster. And then my last one, I have to get a bit of European flavour on there. Giannis. I just think he's the absolute animal. Like, for his builds, his height, and how he runs with the ball, it's just great to have him as a European. Obviously, Luka Doncic is probably a close one just behind him, but yeah, Giannis as well. I wouldn't mind starting five in an NBA game, I don't think.
I tell you, it's not bad, is it? It's not bad at all. I'll tell you, not bad at all. Not bad as a five. NFL players.
So first one, obviously, I think what everyone will have is Tom Brady. Growing up to hate him, but also to admire how good he was. And then next one for me, being a Giants fan, it has to be Eli Manning. Obviously, produced it when we needed him most. And I've got to say, there won't be one Manning, there'll be two Mannings on the top five. Obviously, Peyton Manning as well was an absolute fantastic player. And because I've watched so much more in the last 5 years, I've got to go for two of the last 5 years players. One, obviously, you're going to be very happy with this one, a certain Mr. Mahomes.
Let's go.
What he does is just crazy. Underarms, flicks, everything. Unbelievable to watch. And then the last one is one that people won't put on. I'm only putting it on because he was my favourite player. He's still my favourite player of all time. Is Jaya Ajayi, who actually is from London, played for the Miami Dolphins and Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously won a championship as well with the Eagles, even though it was very painful as a Giants fan to watch the Eagles lift the Vince Lombardi. But to watch a London boy get drafted, win the championship, helps as well that he supports a certain team. But just to see, it's always nice to see a London-born player go out to the States and win the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, last but not least, he's top five F1 drivers of all time.
I think you got to start with Mr. Lewis Hamilton. Just the sheer dominance, and the person he shares with the most titles with has got to be on there, Michael Schumacher. Just growing up watching him, it was a bit like how it is now. You just knew he was going to do something crazy to overtake someone if he weren't out in front. And then it's got to be Kimi Räikkönen for me, my all-time favourite driver, followed by Sebastian Vettel. Obviously, the dominance he had in the Red Bull. Sadly, it didn't really turn out to be the dominance in the Ferrari as well, and it was kind of a bit of a
Yeah.
mellow ending to that career. And then the one legend who I've seen quite a bit of, obviously Ayrton Senna, that how he used to drive them old F1, that was before all the power steering and everything we had now, was unbelievable in the conditions as well. He couldn't see in front of him, and still in between two cars on a tight corner was some exceptional drivers. I wish I got to see him live, because he just looked like an absolute talent.
Yeah, it's such a shame he was taken too early. But yeah, he was a different sort of driver. He was just so in tune. He was just so in tune. It is crazy. It is crazy. Man, I got to appreciate this. Almost an hour episode of this. I appreciate you for your time. I will let you go. And it's late Thursday night, April night, I said. But I want to thank you for coming on. We'll definitely get you on again, because it's been fun chatting about all things about yourself and all things hobby as well. Everyone who's listened this far, you're the real MVPs. I appreciate you a lot. Make sure you're following Ronnie, aka RP Trading Cards, on socials, and if you're not already, which I know you already are, Top Loader Podcast on all the socials, YouTube, Instagram, they're all there. They're doing this stuff. And that's it for tonight. Peace, guys.